Gude. When chatting in real life, sometimes small talk brings up the following question. What are you doing in your free time? So what are your hobbies? And then I say, good question. Being a tech nerd, I like to contribute to open source projects. And mostly I receive the following reaction. But honestly, why?
Gude. Hacky, techy, nerd stuff. Open voice enthusiast. Open voice, open future.
Obviously, is not really a positive reaction. So I tried to find out if it's more because of the tech nerd or more of the open source contributor. And honestly, we all know open source or open source software. And I consider myself being a fan of the idea of the open source concept. I know there's room for improvement, but in general, I'm a big fan of open source concept. If you think about contributing to an open source project and you think, I cannot contribute because I'm not a developer, that's not right. Okay, if you say you are not a developer, probably you know best you are not a developer, but that you cannot contribute because not being a developer is completely wrong. Most projects, or lots of projects, would really benefit from non-technical people joining their communities, reviewing documentation, asking questions, because a developer might understand the thoughts of other developers because they jump into code, read documentation in the code and will fight their way through. But being or getting the vision or not the vision, getting the perspective of a non-technical person is really super helpful for open source, not open voice, open source projects. So if you think about joining an open source project, please feel free to do so. Most people use open source software every day in our computer, notebook, smart TV, mobile phones, embedded devices of any type. So open source is an important part of our modern technology infrastructure. And I tried to find out more on open source on Wikipedia, on the Open Source Initiative, the OSI, or the Free Software Foundation. And they all published lots of great text. And honestly, I haven't read the complete text, but I searched for one specific word, but I didn't find it. I find lots of pros and cons on using open source and the benefits, increasing code quality, reviewing code, building a community, which is all great, and lots of licenses that are available and which license to choose for which use case. And you can find tons of information on YouTube on how to deal with open source and open source licenses. But in my personal, and that is just all about my personal thoughts on that. So please share your thoughts in the comments. And all of these arguments that are logical, head-based arguments. But for me, open source or open source contribution is more about a feeling. For me, the word that I was looking for in the context of open source is passion. For me, at least, open source is about passion. It's about the passion of sharing enthusiasm, of sharing, passion. It's the best word I can find to describe it. And I've met really great and amazing people while working on open source for the last few years, and in special on open voice technology, on text-to-speech. And all the people, we share passion for an open voice future. I have no idea where they live, how old they are. And this doesn't matter at all. It's just about sharing the passion. And I know it's a crazy idea, but where could we as species, as humankind be if it's not about influence or money or power, if it's just about sharing passion? Sharing passion shouldn't be negative. So maybe it's more about describing yourself being a tech nerd. So I jumped onto Wikipedia to look on the definition of nerd. I know how I would describe myself as a nerd, but what's the official description for nerds? So I looked up in Wikipedia, and what I've seen is a person, intellectual, obsessive, interest, lacking social skills. Maybe I had to ask my friends, but no, I cannot agree with that. Let's skip the second sentence and go to this. Nerds are described as being shy, quirky, pedantic, and unattractive. Really? Decide by yourself, but really, no way. Come on. But I think an important part is such a person may spend lots of time on unpopular, little known or non-mainstream activities. And that's right. Or at least in my personal opinion, I would agree to that. But just because topics are not in the majority of people or are not popular does not make the topics less important. And that's an important part for me. Let's say, as I'm working on an open voice future right now, let's say I would ask 10 people what they think about an open voice future. I think 6 out of 10. They would say, huh? Maybe 3 would say, what's wrong with the voices of Google or Amazon? And with some luck, there would be 1 out of 10 sharing the idea that an open voice future would be a good idea. So it is not the majority of people, it is not a really popular topic, but I think it is an important topic. So I would agree with that one. I think that's it for now. And if you are talking to people describing themselves as nerds, tech people, or open source enthusiasts, don't do that. Give them the response they deserve. So that's for all of you, you nerdy people, you passion-sharing open source enthusiasts. You deserve this, and that's for all of you. So that's it. Next video will be more on text-to-speech again, but I thought I would like to make this topic in between. So stay safe. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, subscribe, give it a thumbs up or 2. No, 2? That's away. Give it 1 thumbs up. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.